Arc so pretty. So you could do say 25. It's not a big deal, we'll say. And I know the very first index of this array I want to be my starting position, his world position, regardless of anything. So that's why this state is here. Right? You can think of this as set start. Hopefully that doesn't cause issues. We shall see. Or else I'll have to redo it. Wouldn't it be the first time? So next, I use an action that's actually an older action. It's called Iterate. I think you could also use Loop if you're running a newer system. So Iterate is on the ecosystem. It's an older action. Loops is, yeah, Loop would be the same thing, except for you'd have to do some additional logic because of this I have the start index and the end index. So the start, normally this is at 0. I don't want it 0, I want it 1 because the 0 point is this thing. I want this to be 0 no matter what. So in this iterate, we're going to start at 1 and we're going to end it at the length of whatever we have. You can make this as big as you want. You can make it 500 if you want. Right, so we're just going to loop and I'm going to take the index. So this works just like a array get next, only it's You're not getting next through an array. You're just iterating. So then I made one action that actually does this, because all it is math. If you don't do it this way, you'd have to have a whole lot of math add, math multiply, math divide. So I'm going to show you what this is. And then at the very end, this guy has a line renderer, and I've preset its size to 50. I can now take that down to say 20. Actually, it should be 26, I guess, because we have 25. No, it would be 25, not 26, because it needs to be the same length as this array. Now you can set that position or that number programmatically, if that's a word. But I just figured, whatever, I'm just going to make it 25. And then I can call a method to it. The method is set positions. Keep in mind, there's a few different ones. Like if I drag this in and call, I can set width, color, I can set position, and I can tell what position and the vector. But I don't want this one. I want down here where I set positions. And it needs a array of vectors, and that's where I pass in all of our things here. And then it comes back up here. It resets this step value to 0.1, and it does a wait and does the whole thing all over again. So all the magic, all the math is in here, and you probably think this is pretty complex, and it's not. We have power. Power is just something we can control. Step, normally you can control it, except for I have it set here, so you'd have to change that. But again, you really don't need to control step. So let's just take a look at this script. And don't worry, it's not that bad. It's just, it has math, piles of math to it. So in this one, we get, I made a couple variables in this one, right? User, just so we know where to do our calculations from. So you would put this on like your Canon tip or whatever. Power, so we know how much power to shoot with, and it takes that step, so it knows how long along the array to more or less do the calculations for, and it pumps out a result. So in the beginning, I just take, actually in this part technically you don't even need, you could actually change this, but we create a game object variable in here in the enter, and I'm just going to take whatever is here. Okay. Next, we want a vector, and it's a starting position, which, I mean, you could actually do that through these as well. Again, not a big deal. So all I'm saying is we're going to take whatever this thing is. It's so geo dot, it's transform dot position. Okay, so now we have a starting position. Next, we need a vector 3, and we just need a velocity. So I'm just going to use whatever this thing is. So that game object, it's transform dot its forward direction. So whichever way it's facing, that's where we're going to shoot. Times the power dot value. So how much power we're going to use, how much power we want, the direction this thing's facing, that's going to be our velocity. And then we're going to create this new thing called a new point. The new point is the starting position plus the step value times power velocity. Okay. And then we need to alter this y position, because this is where gravity can start screwing around with everything, right? So new point dot y, just the y. We don't have to worry about the x and the z, because we're just, gravity's shooting downwards, so that's all we're really fighting against. So you could actually use this for 2D and for 3D. as long as you're using it for 2D, the y going up and down. So starting position dot y, so just the y of the starting position, plus power velocity y, so dot y, times the step dot value plus physics dot gravity dot y divided by 2 times step dot value times step dot value, which is a physics calculation. And then at the end, we're going to take this guy and we're just going to stuff him into the result there, and then we're going to call our finish, and that's it. So it's just a bunch of math. And you can literally just copy and paste this. I'll probably throw this on the Discord as well. Right, and that's, so when we get this result now, so we give it our power, we give it our step, and we get our result. Wait, do I forget if let me just check something. Because I thought I multiplied that step. I must not. No, I don't. Okay. So, anyways, so now that I have this, right, when we're done, so if we were just to keep going in and out, in and out, in and out, like, which is, you see we have another phase right here, we loop, we don't just go back in, because we're only moving one step ahead of the cube. Well, we want to go one step and then another step, so we want to go 2 steps, and we want to go 3 steps, and then we want to go 4 steps, right? So when we're done this, I'm going to add to the float step, I'm just going to add 0.1 to it, and then I am going to array set our vector array at the index from here. I'm going to give it the value of starting. Oh, no, I'm going to give it the value of add, sorry. That's the next one. So path, index, give it the result of this. Right, because now that we've added to it, when we come back down here, let's pull this guy over here so he's not in the way. Right, so when we come into here, our step, or we do our iterate, we come over and our step is 0.1, and we do everything, and we come up and we add 0.1, so now we're going to be going on to the next step. And we come into here, and we get index 2, and now the step is 0.2. See, we just keep adding on. We loop through all this, we set up our array, then at the very end, we just go to our line renderer and say, hey, here's our array. And then we come over here and we reset our step value, so it's back to 0.1. We do our little wait, and then we start it all over again. I set the path, that first point, to our starting position, and we redo everything all over again. And that's how you get this little nice little thing like this. Right, and it doesn't matter if it's 2D, 3D, like I can turn this and he's firing, right? It's not going to matter, right? Because you're just fighting gravity. That's all you're doing. So there is trajectory. So then you can go up like that. And if you want it longer, you just need to make that length more, right? I've got it, I think I set it 25, so it's doing, this is the length of these 25 steps. Right, so if I take this power, drop it down, as you see it arcs properly. Now we have a power of 11, there it goes. Ba-doop. Ba-doop. So that's kind of how we do with this little guy. Right, and if you crank the power way up, I mean, it's going to be almost a straight line. Right, Yeah, you can't even see that ball traveling, it's so fast. Take the power down a little more. There we go. Fire those balls up in the air. And then that's how we do it. But now, like I said, I mean, now on this guy, you gotta remember, I'm doing impulse and the power. So I get the power from here. I'm taking this number and I'm adding force impulse self on the Z to do that. And that's what it looks like. And if you're curious about this guy here, let's clear all that out. Let's see, what do we have down here? So this guy, now that I have a renderer, I made a material. I made it a particles standard unlit. So it doesn't matter how much lighting or shadows are in or what's happening, you'll always see this line. It's always there. Now if you want it to actually hit one of these, like if it's to stop at this point where because it's going right through, you can do that. You would just need to, during this cycle, when we have this result, you have to do like a sphere cast at that result, and if it hits anything, then we need to tell this thing to stop, and whatever we have for the array is what we're going to set in, right? But beyond that, we're just going to go through it, right? So here we have I have a particles standard unlit, right? So shadows and all that don't matter. Multiply. Technically this color doesn't even really do, well, I guess it does do something, but I can give it a little bit of a glow, I suppose. Just a smidge. But I'm doing all the color on here, so I can say, you know, this top one's your alpha. So here, let's turn this 0 so you can see the color better. Right, so if I go into here, the starting point, right, you can make this any color you want. You know, maybe you want to make it nice red. Maybe at the end, I don't know, go green. I don't know, who knows? We have a little Christmas thing happening here. And then this top line is actually your alpha. It's how far you want it. Like, okay, now I have full alpha the whole way. You can just click anywhere to add, and I can take the alpha and say, let's take it down. And as you see, it's I guess it's still there. Let's take that alpha down farther. No. Let's take him down. Take his alpha all the way down. No emissive. All right. Okay, well, I guess we're still going to see it. I guess that's just the way it's going to go with the additive style. Not a big deal. I mean, I'm not that worried about it. I'm not doing the tutorial for the color. But it is trying, though. You can see how it is kind of see-through there, right? And you can add as many of these as you want, right? Like I can click on here, like we can go full rainbow if we wanted to. It really doesn't matter. You know, move these things around. You can put different spots in here too. You can, you know, maybe we've got one little area that's got alpha to it and the rest of it doesn't. I don't know, right? And you can make anything you want. But that is our system like that. So I thought I would share that with you. And I said I'll drop this on the Discord, but you can make the action quite easily and modify it. All right, catch you later.